All right, everyone, welcome into St. David's Performance Center. Welcome to Matchday Minus One, the last Matchday Minus One before the international break. We are hoping to finish with a flourish, just like the Verde and Black. Matchday Minus One brought to you by PointsBet, founding partner of Austin FC. I'm Adrian Healey. My good friend to my right is Sonny Guadarrama, joining me once again. You are stepping up to the plate again, my friend.
Just
terrific. Just
that baseball player stepping up to the plate.
Lot to get into. International break looming, but of course the LA Galaxy game, and Austin rather keen to finish this first portion of the season on the right note, as are we. Before we get into previewing that game, Sonny, let's have a look back at the comeback. Sunday's extraordinary in many ways 2-2 draw against Orlando. I don't know, is it possible to feel frustration and elation at the same time? And what is that word? Some combination of both. Frelation? What is that?
I told you during the game, it's a love-hate relationship. It's how soccer can just change dramatically from 1 second to the next, and how one circumstance can be totally positive. And we've been on the other side of this, a lot of the games. Yeah. So for this finally to be on our side, I think we ride this wave for as long as we can.
It was as chaotic as that rush hour traffic on Mopac, which I know you know well.
I do, and I don't enjoy that one.
I've seen you weaving in and out of that traffic as well. But you know, it's one of those things where if you beforehand you'd have said, absolutely, we're going to win this game. At 2-0 down and having started the way we did, you'd have taken a point in a heartbeat, wouldn't you? And in the end, that's what we got. Somehow it felt like snatching a point from the jaws of defeat. What do you take away from that game? Again, we've come from 2 goals down to get something out of a game for the second time this season. Didn't do that at all last year.
First, I'd say that I thought Orlando played a great game.
Right.
You got to give credit to the other teams in the league. This is not an easy league by any means. Any game that you match up, we've seen scores like teams that we've beaten by a lot of goals, and then they turn around and beat good teams. So the league is built for good games, and we've seen that. So I think Orlando just played a great game. And I think just the amount of games that we had and the amount of mental stress that we were under for that whole week between the Salt Lake game, the LAFC, the traveling in between, that takes a toll on your body. And I think it just kind of caught to us at the bad moment. But then soccer is soccer, and it can give you gifts sometimes, and you take it. And we could have even won the game, but for sure, just tying the game, I thought it was successful.
Absolutely. Another 5 minutes, and I think we would have won it. Had there been another 5 minutes of stoppage time. That slow start, I think, and we found out after the fact, didn't we, that Ruben Gabrielson was actually ill rather than injured, and I think that probably played a part, didn't it? Did it not in that slow start where the defense just looked a little bit out of sorts? It turns out they were feeling out of sorts too.
I thought that we had seen every circumstance so far, but it seems like games just keep popping up and different circumstances keep popping up. But in the end, Austin FC is getting results. Yeah. So I think that's just testament to the team being able to handle any of the situations, really, because it's not been predictable at all. Yeah.
Not even going to get into the referee decisions because that's part of the grand tapestry of this game. So you get some, you don't get some. And I didn't actually have an issue with any of the decisions made. What I do want to do is shine a light on a couple of our substitutes who I thought made a big difference. 11 against 9, not always as easy as that sounds, trying to break down compact defense. But Hector Jimenez came on, and I think you and I during commentary gave him kudos, and I'd like to return to that for his quality of crosses, because I think that made a difference. And of course, the big man, Musa Jite. How refreshing to see him back and off the bench and bringing something very different to that Austin attack.
Yeah, going to Hector, I think he's somebody. I don't even like using the word crossing, because crossing to me is just someone that's getting the ball and just putting it in the box. To me, he's passing the ball to people. He's picking people out in the box, which makes him a lot more valuable. He's not just kicking balls into spaces. He's picking people out in the box and putting service right on their forehead. He's probably one of the best on the team at putting passes into the box. And then Musa, I'm just happy that we had him. Besides the goal, I think I remember at least 2 times where people shot and he's just bringing balls down in the box, and it just made it dangerous. And he's such a different player from your normal forward that you see in the MLS that defenders aren't used to matching up against him. So I think he's somebody that can definitely come and help in the last minutes of the game. And he showed it this past weekend. He came up huge and got the goal. And I'm happy for him.
Yeah, the perfect player to bring on in that exact circumstance, and great that he's back in Josh Wolf's plans moving forward. So here we are. We're now 13 games into the season, and despite points that have got away, we're still in great shape. Second in the West, second in the Supporters' Shield standings. I mean, again, you look at that and you sometimes have to rub your eyes, but that's exactly where we are, and we're now finally the odds makers, if you look at this, are starting to sit up and take notice and have us moving up the field in terms of the MLS Cup odds. So
them and I think the other teams too are giving Austin a lot more respect. The way they set up for games, the way they study the team, and the way they try and combat our strengths and our weaknesses. So I think there's no one that's like, oh, thank God we get to play against Austin. That might have been something in the past, but this year it's like, oh, shoot, we got to play Austin. Right. We know that this is going to be a difficult game.
Well, let's talk about the team who are now facing that mental state. The enemy, the Los Angeles Galaxy, they're the team that has to play Austin next, and they played us just 3 weeks ago. Of course, Sonny coming to Q2, winning by a goal to nil. What was probably Austin's least satisfactory home performance of the season, and I think we gave the Galaxy some credit for that with the way they came in and played. However, this has the makings of a completely different sort of feel and rhythm and tempo, doesn't it? With the Galaxy at home and Austin going back to LA, where they just had a great night within the last week to 10 days. So what does Austin need to do well this time that they perhaps didn't do so well last time against the Galaxy, do you think?
I mean, I think even just the Galaxy are coming off a crazy 2 weeks too, having lost to 2 of the teams from Texas and then getting a huge win in the Open Cup against LAFC. And I listened to Chicharito talk after the game that they had lost against Houston, really like getting after his team, saying like it was not acceptable that this was the LA Galaxy. He thought that they were one of the biggest clubs in the MLS and that they had to change their mentality, and everything mattered, from the smallest pass to the most important pass in the game mattered. And I think they flipped a switch from that game to LAFC. So it's going to be a battle. Now we have a full week of rest, which makes a huge difference. Again, we're on the road, but I think this tapes up to be another big match for Austin FC, especially knowing that we're going to go on break. I think it means a lot going into this break. Can we get a good result?
Yeah. LA have been a team, as he said, of different personalities. Not quite sure what you get. I mean, there they are. They're right. They're only 4 points behind us. They're in 5th place in the West. But as you say, coming off the 2 other Texan teams have both been there and won in MLS this month after they'd been here to Q2. But then, of course, they turn around and coming off that huge emotional high of midweek of beating LAFC, not just beating them, but really laying a beating on, a trouncing on LAFC, 3-1, could have been more. I wonder where that leaves them kind of emotionally, because that can go one of 2 ways, can't it, when you just come off a big cup win.
And the fact that they had to play midweek again.
Yeah.
At least in terms of the other team's success in against LA Galaxy, was that they didn't sit back, that they went out and played them and got goals early and then made it difficult for LAFC. Then you're having to adjust. Then you just leave more spaces, and they end up losing pretty bad to both the Texas teams at home. So I think it would be important for Austin to kind of follow suit, study these 2 games from Dallas and Houston, and figure out how to deal with it. But again, if they're coming off this huge win, it's soccer, and it's unpredictable.
And it's funny, isn't it? You look back at just the most recent sampling of games, Austin have actually had a little more freedom to play on the road, as you would expect sometimes. But now it's really come to that, where teams are coming to Q2 and they have a plan and a system. We've seen the Galaxy and Orlando approach it in similar ways. But on the road, in the last 2 games, Austin have had a little more freedom. play.
Teams expect their teams at home to play a little bit different. They want to see a more offensive game. They want to see putting numbers forward. So it's kind of give and take.
Yeah. We'll come back to your final thoughts on the Galaxy game when we do Sonny Sentimiento in just a few minutes. Before we get to that, though, a look ahead at what lies just beyond the Galaxy game. The break. That's what we're going to call it. Yes, it's a break for Austin FC, and a much-deserved one. The players and the coaching staff are going to spread their wings for a few days and get a few days rest. But there won't be any rest in terms of the football available at Q2 because a couple of big games. The U.S. men's national team against Grenada, which will be the last chance to see the U.S. men's national team on U.S. soil before the World Cup. That much is confirmed. They're going to play a couple of games in September, but those will be likely in Europe. So this is the last game on American soil, which is a big deal, Sonny. And the squad that Greg Berhalter has picked reflects that. Pretty much all the big names are going to be on board. We'll have a chance to see our fourth-string goalkeeper's cousin come here and play.
That's right,
Mr. Pulisic. The $30 million man, Brendan Harrison, just about to make that big move to Leeds. He'll be part of that squad. So a lot to look forward to that night on Friday night under the lights for the US.
I mean, being from Austin, never could I have imagined having the U.S. national team coming the amount of times that they've come to Austin.
Yeah.
So it's just huge and testament to what Austin FC have done a great job of, and the fans that always existed in Austin that love soccer, and now the new fans that are coming in from wherever they're coming from, but also loving the game. So I mean, we can't ask for more.
It'd be great to see that fan base turn up on that. What has not been as evident has been that same Los Verdes La Murga, total rhythmic atmosphere with the U.S. national team, which is hard to replicate because it's not an Austin game. But if we could get some approximation to that, it would be fantastic. And it's going to be a night where there's goals aplenty. I mean, that much is almost guaranteed against Grenada.
And the last time we get to see them, so I think it's huge.
Yeah,
sending them off with the best crowd possible from here from Austin.
So Friday, June the 10th, if you're at all on the fence, don't hesitate. Chance to see Greg Berhalter and the boys for the last time on U.S. soil before the World Cup adventure in November. That's the first game as well in defense of the Nations League title that they won against Mexico. You might remember last year.
I do remember.
By the way, on the subject of the national team, big shout out to Owen Wolff, Teen Wolf, getting his first ever call up to the U19 national team. He's actually not the first Austin player to be called up. Brian Ariano, you might remember, got a call up to a training camp, but this is actually for 2 games coming up in June. Poor old Owen's going to have to go to Marbella, Spain.
You enjoy it there, don't you?
I love me some Marbella, but they have games against England and Norway. It's going to be terrific to see how he fits under Marko Mitrovic, the U19 coach.
I think all that helps, definitely for a player like him, taking his experience that he's got at Austin FC. He's actually, I would say that if it wasn't Owen, because Owen's actually really calm in the games. It doesn't bother him that he's playing away against LAFC and the crowds there. That I'm 100% sure of. So I would say that these games would really help him in his confidence, but his confidence seems to be riding high from Austin FC. So, I mean, just a great experience to be part of a U.S. national team is always huge and represent your country. So good for him that he's able to get called up and do big things for Austin. Yeah.
And not a bad place to start your international career either. Let me just add that in with Marbella as his venue. Not sure what those LA to Marbella flights are like for Owen. He's got to find out. The night after the US against Grenada, Austin against Pachuca. Pachuca at the moment in the middle of a Clausura final. They've got a comeback on their hands, haven't they, against Atlas? But whether they win it or not, this is clearly one of the top teams in Mexico that Austin again going to be in action against, continuing a fine sort of trend that we've set.
I want to know who the guy is that's picking the teams because he's definitely got a good eye to bring Tigres, Atlas, and Pachuca, who are always fighting in the top spots.
Yeah, I mean, it's the previous two friendlies have been terrific. The Tigres one last summer, so special. When that was always going to be special, the first, but even the Atlas one in February, always tremendous. And I think Pachuca are probably going to bring a pretty decent squad, aren't they? So soon after the end of the playoffs.
And that rivalry just keeps growing and growing, and I think it's shifted, as they would say before, that Mexico was the powerhouse of the CONCACAF, but I don't believe that anymore. So I think there's always now like maybe some sentimiento there on Mexico's behalf of every time you're playing against or matching up against an MLS team to prove that no, that's not the case. So it's going to be a big game, and I think it gives a chance for Josh to maybe even experiment and know that, okay, well, results important, but they don't count for anything, and he can kind of mix people in and figure out maybe another squad rotation or another squad that he could use for games that do count.
Yeah, you got to figure with competition for starting places fiercer here in year two that will be an opportunity for some players who haven't had as much playing time to shine on. And that will be a Saturday night, again, under the lights, the night after the U.S. national team. It's June the 11th for Austin and Pachuca. So a break that isn't actually a full break. Plenty of football to enjoy at Q2 Stadium. We're certainly lucky to have it. Let's go back to the Galaxy game this weekend and bring you Sonny's Sentimiento. Our producer Spencer insists it should be called Sonny Disposition because you always have a positive outlook on life. And there it is, the smile. You do have a Sonny disposition. But what's the Sentimiento you're feeling heading into this? How important is it that Austin finished this kind of section of the season on the right note?
I'm going to have to reference the LAFC game. I thought the team played great, but then I thought that one player in specific had an outstanding performance in Brad Stuver, and I think we're going to need that again. I think the whole team is going to play great, and then there's going to be at least one or two players that are going to have an outstanding performance to be able to get the result that we're looking for. And it could be anybody. It's anybody's day to step it up. But in general, the team just needs to have a solid performance, and then we're looking for just one player to make something happen, do something different. And we saw that against LAFC with Brad Stewart just coming up huge every single time. It made a difference.
Yeah, what can we do to surprise them? Because as you were saying, a lot of film, a lot of tape out there on us now. But likewise, we know what the Galaxy are going to do. So what can we do to surprise them is an intriguing question.
And who can come inspired that day?
Yeah.
I think we've got enough players who have been playing really well, and that's just the soccer player life is you play well, then you play outstanding, and then you go back to playing well.
Yeah.
Who's going to be that outstanding player for us? And I think we've got plenty of options.
Yeah. Good stuff. Let's finish with a moment of gratitude, and this goes into team selection and who's available on games like this. I don't think this team get enough love or attention from the general public, and I'm going to give a shout out to Dave Tenney and the high performance staff here at St. David's behind the scenes, brought in specifically to do a job to keep these finely tuned athletes at their peak, and you have to say the results are tremendously impressive. The main result being the lack of names on the injury list. I mean, we give that St. David's health report every week, Sonny, and there's been one name on there all year, and that was a preseason injury for Johan Romania. We've been remarkably healthy,
and it helps, and it shows. I think the other teams that do struggle with injuries, it's just not the same. So for him to be able to keep our team not only healthy but just running high every single game, it doesn't look like players are getting tired. Our team. I can't remember a time where our team is going down for cramps, where other teams are coming into Q2 or even just at their home, they're going down for cramps. I don't see that.
No. And it could be a huge factor in what is a marathon of a MLS season. Which teams stay healthy, particularly as we get to the second half of the season, can really have a massive impact on the final standings in the table.
No, it's true. And the MLS, the trips in the MLS are so long that most countries don't have, like, you're not traveling 5 and 6 hours to go places to play, playing midweek games and then coming back. It takes a toll on your body for sure.
Yeah. So, tremendous stuff. Dave Tenney and the high-performance staff. Big moment of gratitude for them. And all my gratitude to you, my friend, for coming in for another Matchday Minus One. Thanks to those of you watching with us. Hopefully you will be out and about at one of the many watch parties taking in Austin at the Galaxy Sunday afternoon. Remember, it's the kickoff time changed in case you didn't fully take that on board. It's a little later now, 5 p.m. Central Time on Sunday. They shifted it back a couple hours because of the Liga MX playoffs that we were just talking about. And the game is on Unimas, on English language, on Twitter. Yourself and Roger Valdivieso will be the Spanish language radio call.
We'll be at the stadium.
Down on the field.
Maybe on the
Stadium.
field.
Yeah, indeed. So enjoy the game, everyone. That's Sunday, 5 p.m., Austin's final game before the international break. And we will see you right after that international break. Hope to see you at Q2 as well for those two big games on June 10th and 11th. Thanks for watching, everyone.